Hello. Welcome to Can-Am round 4 here at Silverstone. So, we have cars going out on track, ready for our first qualifying session. So, we will go on board the first driver out on track, which is McCoy, by the looks of it. So, we'll sit on board him for the time being. So, as we are watching McCoy sort his outlap out, and all the others currently choose their setups and get out onto the track. So we have a nice sunny qualifying currently, which is a change compared to normal British weather. So we should also have a nice dry race as well, potentially as well. So McCoy starts his flying lap and up through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4, tightest parts of some of Silverstone. There is also the McLaren of Suck just behind. Also Jowser is the one getting the toe off McCoy currently. So we do have a few little facts here for Silverstone. It is a 5.8 kilometre lap with 18 corners, 10 to the right and 8 to the left. A few very tricky ones up into Cops and Maggots, Beckett's and out of Chapel. A few tight corners. They will need to keep it nice and tight on the limit, and through Chapel and down the Hanger Straight will have to be nice and quick, nice and tight and perfect to be able to get the run down into the final part of the circuit. So we did also have a couple of changes to the circuit. Down at Chapel is now a little bit tighter than it used to be. It is also very easy to slide out, but also a little bit easier now to follow the track round. And McCoy sets our benchmark of a 28.7, and Mr. G quickly gets a 28.5. So we have the Haas coming down the Hanger Straight, followed by his teammate just behind him. So 7, absolutely flying, is on his flying lap, comes through final 2 corners, past into Club and down into the main straight, sets a lovely set time of a 28.5. Does go fastest in this session so far. So we go on to Oscar, who goes 7th now in his Alpine. Goes just a bit quicker than the 2 Mercedes cars. Still plenty of time for everyone there to start to get slightly quicker. Shifty here with a 30.0. Plenty of time for him to go a little bit quicker. Possibly had a few little wobbles on his lap, but is only still getting used to the circuit and the temperature of the track currently. So 5's coming through up into Cops in a moment on his outlap. 10 Man, his teammate, in his flying lap, coming through Luffield and Brooklands and Woodcock corners, taking them absolutely lovely there. Doesn't take too much apex, doesn't take too much of the track, takes it lovely up in to the main one of the longest straights, through Copse, takes that perfectly, keeps it within the limits, well and truly through Maggots. Beckett's takes that lovely, perfect bit of driving there. Unfortunately, did slightly invalidate his lap time, so it must have gone slightly wide. The Red Bull, not too sure what he's up to there. So 5 starting his flying up into Abbey and into Farm corners. Perfect couple of corners there. Can get a lot of speed through them to start his laps. To start the lap, great. Up into we have now into the Wellington Straight. DRS wide open, one of 2 DRS zones on this track. Now flying here for Tim Man, sets a purple sector, no, Tim Man, sorry, for 5s. Purple sector, absolutely perfect for him. It's going to be a great lap for him here. If he can just keep it up, he will be able to battle 7 there for the pole and to get through nicely in this quali. Oh, a little bit wide out on Copse, has taken a little bit too much out of his lap time there, possibly slowed down to try and not invalidate. Up into the Hanger Straight where the second DRS zone is. He hasn't opened his DRS, so possibly backed out a little bit. Does seem to keep going though, hasn't done too much, has backed out and does go into the pit lane. He will probably be slightly unlucky on that one. So Morg on his flying lap, he took the win here last time out in Austria. Great drive for him, absolutely capitalised on the carnage from the last lap at the Red Bull Ring. So he is on his flying lap and he does put it P8 in that red. Nice little lap there for Morg, goes at 29.4, just ahead of a championship leader of Anime Boy, who's on his way. Actually no, he's not, he's currently on another fast lap. Flying through the final part of the track, trying to do anything he can to improve. He is on the medium tyre, so can probably get some more out of it and possibly get his car higher, and he does stick it into the top 3. Perfect lap there for Anime and has plenty of time to maybe improve or possibly stay there as he is well and truly safe right now. So we have 4 cars here without a lap time. Adam in the Aston Martin coming through sector 2 out of Chapel Corner onto the Hanger Straight into Stowe in a moment. And he does set a purple 2, sector 2 by the looks of that. Is flying currently in this Aston Martin. Final 2 corners of Vale and Club onto the Hamilton Straight where he sets purple sector, and it's a lovely 1 minute 27.6, 4 tenths quicker, than the Haas of 7. Perfect lap there for the Aston Martin driver. So Rowdy in the other Aston Martin on a flying lap, pushing all he can out of this car, trying to get into the top 10 to try and stay close to his teammates so they can try and maximise their points this weekend. So through this tight, twisty part of the track, he does have a Mercedes behind, could possibly be helping him out with a lot of tow, but is setting purple sectors for himself in through these final few corners. Up through through Vale Club onto the Hamilton Straight. Currently, does have a little wobble. Will it affect his time? Not too much. It does set a 29.1, and Pizza goes P5 with a 28.5. Was getting a load of tow there from the Aston Martin driver, helped him out massively, and we are now on board. Tin Man in the Sauber is also giving the Mercedes of Ego a massive tow by the looks of it. That's going to help that Mercedes driver out like it did with his teammate. So, up into the tight twisty Maggots Beckett's. Will sit on board Ego as he flies around, getting a nice bit of tow. And that is unfortunate there for Tin Man. Does go slightly wide and goes into the pits. Ego is carrying on, sets that nicely through the final couple of corners, goes just behind his teammate into P6. So we go on board the Ferrari, who is slowing down at the minute, currently just ahead of his teammate. It hasn't got much fuel, so possibly just done a flying lap. Thief in the Haas is on possibly another outlap. Not using anything at the minute. Tin Man is there. Oscar in the Alpine. Haven't seen too much of him in this session, but absolutely flying right now. Is possibly up on his time into the final couple of corners. It's quite tight to get this perfect. Does it well, and his 7 attempts up, goes into P7, just ahead of his teammate Oliveira. Let's go to the McLaren of Jauza. Does set a purple sector 1, is 3 attempts up on his previous time. It's currently P14 and flying through cops. Takes that nicely, gets enough of the apex on the exit. Through the Maggots and Beckett's, the tightest and twistiest part of the track. Absolutely nailed every single one of them corners. Out through Chapel onto the hangar straight at DRS wide open. Purple sector 2 as well. Could potentially go pole, but by how much ahead of Adam could this put him? Hasn't got much fuel, but is still running a decent. Does go P3, backs off slightly, half a second behind the current leader in this session, who is yet to go out again and is very unlikely to go back out at the minute. So, who haven't we been on board so far? Let's go on board the Williams of Will. Is on an outlap. We'll sit on board his whole lap. So Anime Boy thinks he has done enough in this session and has retired in the pit lane. So on board for Will's full lap here, going into the Hamilton Straight, starting this off perfectly for himself. Up into turn 1 of Abbey. That was close from there from the Sauber. Gets out of the way perfect. Up through the first couple of corners. Absolutely taking this well. Does take turns 1, 2 and 3 nicely. Up into Aintree corner, onto the Wellington Straight into Brooklands in a moment. DRS wide open, overtake pushed so we can get the maximum out of this car for this lap to push him out of this drop zone right now. So through Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcock corners on to the old pit straight, where it is now the national pit straight. In through Cops, perfect there. doesn't invalidate or anything, keeps it within the track limits in through Maggots, Beckett's, and takes that nicely. DRS wide open in a moment as we come down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner, where he needs to keep this well. It's quite a somewhat of a medium-paced corner. Does that very well there for Will, and Thief has also retired from this session. He believes he isn't going to quite go much quicker through the tight final 2 corners for Will. Where will this put him? And he does go 15th. Not too much of an improvement, but could see him through into Q2. So we now have Shifty on a hot lap. It hasn't got too much fuel left by the looks of this. Is flying though. Could potentially be staying out to finish this lap, but who knows. So Tin Man, the only driver to not set a lap time just yet, is on his way to do one though. Has got a 28.9 to beat to see himself through. Is on course to beat that as well currently, up through the last couple of corners, flying down across the line, sets a 29.8. That's not going to be quite enough for him here. It's going to be unfortunate. Maybe not quite left himself enough time to go again, but is still pushing ahead now. Hasn't got much battery. Will need to do everything he can to maximise this little bit of battery that he's got left. So Shifty is on his way in as he's just done his time. So Will goes in. Logan is currently at risk of the drop zone, is on a flying lap, takes these corners of Luffield and Brooklands perfectly through Woodcott onto the old pit straight. Into Cops, getting a nice bit of tow from the Red Bull driver, keeps that within the limits. Up into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Does have a little bit of potential traffic, but it does look like the Sauber's well on his way to stay out of the way. So final 3 corners here. Logan is on his way to possibly improve his time, or goes a little bit wide, but does set a 29 for himself. He is through, does plenty in his first one. Morgan now for currently P13, not quite on a lap, is potentially who is that? Is that a racing ball behind? Yep, that is. It was Will. No, it wasn't. Was. I'm not too sure who that was. McCoy and both of them guys. They are both done with their laps. So, in this session, we unfortunately lose Tin Man, Thief, Shifty and Will from this first part of qualifying. So as we head into the second part of qualifying in a minute, we see Adam, Seven and Jowser take the top 3 spots in this first part of qualifying. and we unfortunately lose 10 Man Thief Shifty Will in this first part. So, heading into qualifying 2 now for round 4 of this Can-Am season. As we wait for drivers to head out on track in a moment. So, as we look into this weekend as a whole, the championship leader, Anime Boy, had a bit of a tough race last time out, finishing 16th, but will no doubt be wanting to put that behind him and start scoring some big points again for himself this weekend. And, well, not this weekend, but tonight, he will probably want to, no doubt, score as many points as possible to extend that gap at the top for himself. So we also had Morg last week win the race at the Red Bull Ring. Very, very good race for himself all over. Started down in 12th, but did pull back a very strong drive, very strong race all in all for himself. Had a bit of a hectic battle at the end between 4 drivers, but come away with the win. Overall, brilliant from him. So, and then we also have the Alpine of Oliver Rasta in 3rd position in the standings, having a very good season so far. Is probably gonna wanna cut the gap from the 23 points currently that he's trading tonight, and aim for some fairly big points for himself. Maybe even try and go for the win if he can pull through the pack in the Alpine, and potentially put the pressure on Adam and Morgan and Anime Boy, as they've currently been the best drivers in qualifying and the races so far. So, as we see Seven starting his first flying lap of the second session, we stay on board for his whole lap and see what the benchmark will be. Does have a few drivers behind, all getting the toll off him. Looks of it, he has a Mercedes, a Ferrari, a Red Bull, and both McLarens, followed by an Aston Martin. This is gonna be some quick lap times coming in any minute or once they have got round. So, 7 coming up into Cops will potentially have an Alpine to battle, or well, not quite battle, but to contend with. Does also have a lot of drivers behind him, also on flying laps, trying to get the most out of these first timed runs. So, he is setting the quickest sectors at the minute. We'll be setting our benchmark any minute now. So, 7 in the Haas will set a 28.1 for our first lap. Pizza with a 28.9. Anime with a 28.8. Mr. G. Giles has also come in with a flying lap. Ago's on his way round in a moment. Zuck sets a 30.4. Some quick times coming in now. Ago with a 28.4. So, Logan with a 30.6. We've got Oscar's just gone 5th. Zuck's just had a little slide. 5's on his way round Maggots and Beckett's. Adam just goes and smashes it with a 27.7. We have his teammate Rowdy on his flying lap now. Potentially got given a bit, or potentially gave his teammate a little bit of time on his last run. Great bit of teamwork if they did. But does have Adam ahead of him at the minute, getting a nice bit of tow down into Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcock corners. So flying through at the minute, gonna hopefully have a quick-ish time for himself. Has Oliver possibly been caught up, or is he not started his hot lap yet? He looks to be on it now, or just about to start it now. And does set 54.3, but that's potentially just a banker lap for himself. So Rowdy is on his flying lap. He's flying through into Stowe corner, through Stowe into Club, down the Hamilton straight, goes P11 with a nice time of a 29.1. So we got Logan currently out on track. We have the Alpine of Oliveira, McLaren of Zuck, the Racing Bull of McCoy currently on a fast lap. The Ferrari gets out of the way nicely. So McCoy flying through Cops into Maggots and Beckett's in a moment. Takes that nicely, doesn't go too wide, but still does enough to keep himself well within. Through into the new slight corner at Chapel is actually a little bit wider from this view by the looks of that. Well, DRS wide open into the final few corners. Can McCoy potentially beat his time and get himself into that top 3? Overtake on, using as much battery into this last little bit, does go half a tenth quicker, but stays P5. So Giles in the McLaren is actually on a slow lap now. So Tin Man goes 3 seconds slower, but has just started another lap by the looks of this. Pushing through now the first part of this lap. We'll have the DRS wide open as soon as he comes out of Aintree corner on to the Wellington straight. Now he has the DRS wide open. Overtake is being held so he gets the maximum power from this car. Has an extra 10 kilometers an hour roughly with the DRS. Has as easily an extra 10 to 15 with the overtake going. So on to the old pit straight up into Cops corner, where we love that crash that we all know about, and up into Maggots and Beckett's in a moment. Has got his petrol slightly low, but that isn't always a bad thing for this track. Up into the final part now, comes round Stowe and Vale. I keep getting them corners mixed up. That is Stowe. This is coming into Vale now. Into these two corners now. Up into Club. Takes it nicely. Hits enough the apex perfectly through and goes P8 with a 28.7. Just ahead of the Ferrari of Anime, but just behind Alpine of Oscar. who is currently on a flying lap, has got his overtake on. Hasn't got the hot lap on, ironically, but is trying to gain as much battery and keep as much as he possibly can for all the straights. Overtake and hot lap on, pushing as much as he possibly can, but enough so he doesn't go out of track limits, but still keeps his lap. Keeps it nicely through cops. Possibly going to keep it perfectly across the apexes there of Maggots Beckett's into Chapel. Through onto the hangar straight. DRS wide open. Does also have the Ferrari behind him. Of who could that be? Is Anime Boy also pushing, possibly aiming for another lap as well? Yep, is also on a flying lap as well. So we have Oscar going through a little bit quicker, and Anime Boy jumps above into P6, goes half a second quicker. And Oscar does go around 2 or 3, about 20 milliseconds, maybe half a tenth quicker. So, Pizza Dog in the Mercedes on his final few corners of this lap, pushing everything he can, and goes 3.5 tenths quicker up into P9, sees himself currently safe. So Mr. G in the Red Bull is about to possibly start another lap or going in. We'll come back to him in a moment. The Alpine of Oliver has just set a purple sector 2. Perfect time to go on board him here. Up through Stowe in to Vale now, and just has to keep it within the limits. We're on the track now into this final couple of corners, and we'll go P8 with a 28.3, just ahead of his teammate, but sees both Alpines currently through to Q3. So Pizza is on his cooldown lap at the minute. We have the Ferrari of Logan on a flying lap at the minute, about to have the DRS wide open as he goes down the Wellington Straight for his next flying lap now. We'll go back on board him in a moment. We do have Mr. G has unfortunately invalidated. It's not going to be the best of laps for him here, but has still got plenty of time to gain it back. So we go. Oh, Zuck has unfortunately span on his out lap. That's not going to do the tyres very well, especially at that point of the track right now. He's going to need to do everything he can to push to make up for the lack of speed into turn 1. But is possible to do around the circuit, as plenty of straights to gain back into this. So as we go on board Logan into the final few corners, see how he does, see if he can break into the top 10 and see himself safe. Goes a tenth quicker, but it's not quite enough to see him move from P14 at the minute. So Anime Boy again believes he has done enough to see himself through. We do have the Racing Ball of McCoy now on another flying lap. Currently the only one in the top 8 to be out on track. And then the next one is Oscar in the Alpine, is the only other driver from the top 10 currently out on track. So McCoy coming up into Maggots Beckett's and Chapel to complete the twisty section of the circuit, has gone slightly slower overall, has got DRS wide open, seems to have slowed down a little bit as he come out of there. Yep, and he is going into the pit lane. Feels there is plenty of gap between him and the drop zone, which potentially he is right, as there is only 30 seconds left of this session. So the race winner from last week, Morg, on his flying, or maybe not flying, probably just taking it easy, or has had a slight wobble for him to slowly back out of this lap. Right, so Zuck on his final flying lap hasn't got very far to go right now. Is currently on a 29.0, is also still flying, got plenty of battery left, plenty of fuel left. Hasn't got much of a gap to break into the top 10, but will he have it in him? And hopefully not taking too much time out. Or does it go with a 28.6 just outside the, well, just outside the safety of P10, with a very good lap there from the McLaren driver. So Adam 5s and 7 take the top 3 spots in Q2, and we do say goodbye to Mr. G, Logan, Bowdy, Zuck and Pizza from this second qualifying session. So heading into the final part of the qualifying session now, where it will be all to play for these drivers, with Adam currently taking the top spot from the first 2 qualifying sessions, and this now is all to play for as the rain starts to hit for Q3. This will make it very interesting. It will now be all about the driver and how they handle the changing conditions now. So we have everyone going out on track while it is only slightly wet, or at least have a fair few drivers going out now. So we've got 5s. So we have 7, Adam, Jowser, Anime, Oliver, Morg, basically everyone apart from Ego, Oscar and McCoy currently. But we do see more movement now, and Oscar and McCoy also leaving their pit boxes for their first runs of this qualifying session. So as we have some light rain starting to fall around Silverstone, everyone is, I believe, out on the soft tyres at the minute, just to try and make the best from this bit of a dry line that we have. So 7 starts us off with a flying up into the first few corners, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Quick, fast corners for the first two. Second and third and fourth corners, a little bit slower into the turn 5, a little bit quicker on to DRS straight, the first of only 2 round this track. So 7 with a 28.5 to start us off. Adam quickly picks that up and gets a purple sector as well. So 7 will be the first person on left to set the benchmark for us. Up into Maggots and Beckett's nice tight twisty section, not always the most fun in the wet. Does seem to be picking up slightly in terms of heaviness of rain. And we have 7 coming around this final 4 corners now. Up into the final 3 will set us off with a lovely little benchmark of a 31.5. Adam quickly across the line with a 31.0. Anime 30.6 and 5 with 33.5. Jowser quickly follows that with 31.0. Morg with a 31.4. We have Rivera with the next driver to cross the line. Into Varden Club onto the Hamilton Straight in a moment. And he will set us a 31.9. Not too bad in these wet conditions on the soft tyres now. Oscar does go into the box. We have McCoy with currently P7 with a 31.9. Not too far off the Alpine driver currently. Ego is about to set his first lap of the session. So, Ego in the Mercedes up out into Brooklyn, Sluffield and Woodcote on to the old pit straight now into Cops any minute now. Flying through has a little wobble on the rear end there. Could have ruined his lap. Is still pushing though. Does drift it round Maggots and Beckett slightly. It's a 108.5 for the first 2 sectors now. Up into Stowe, Vale and Club Corners. Does carry on with that after that wobble that he's had. And he decides he wants to do a Lewis Hamilton and cut the grass. Nice. I take it that bit was too long for anyone to bother starting to do before the race. So Ego decides to cut the grass for everyone to do it instead. So Anime does retire from the session with 5 minutes to go. And we could potentially not see many other drivers go out now due to the weather. So 3 of the top 4 now have retired. I don't believe they're gonna go any quicker now. Oh, we do see some movement from, I believe, Ago and Oscar, potentially. We are actually seeing some drivers. There you go. Oscar is out on track, followed by Adam as well, actually, sorry. Wasn't Ago at all. So, the weather has picked up a little bit. We are starting to see some wet patches on the track. Luffield Brooklands doesn't look too great at the minute. That looks horrendous through there, and Adams almost lost it, unfortunately. So we go on board Oscar. How is he handling these conditions right now? Has he got the intermediate tyres on, or does he have the... Is he braving the soft tyre still? He has the intermediates on, same with Ago. How is Adam dealing with the conditions now? Has got... The RS is still activated at the minute. Will Adam potentially go in, or is he going to try and brave the weather on them soft tyres? He is going to brave the weather on these soft tyres. Does look to be a few puddles on track at the minute. Does have a wobble straight away on his start lap, on the start of his lap. So Oscar now, oh my days, that's a big old wobble there on the rear of the Alpine there. That's going to cost his lap big time right now. So Ago is about to start his flying lap. We'll go on board him in a moment. So Adam is in the grass, has done a Valtteri Bottas and decided to cut it as well. Not what he would have wanted in this session for himself when he's trying to go for pole. Had 2 perfect qualifying sessions so far for Adam. Not quite enough this time, and Oscar does set a purple sector 2 on them intermediate tyres. That is quick right now for himself. Perfectly taken corner there, up into the final 3. Final part of his flying lap is doing very well here on them intermediate tyres. They seem to be the best right now. And does go P9 with a 35.4. Will always be slightly slower than the soft runners as the track has got worse over the past 4 minutes or so. So Ayo on his one and only flying lap, and does unfortunately go wide, has ruined that lap for himself, and will start P10 for this race. So Adam comes round, hasn't made any improvement, but oh, that was a big old wobble through the final couple of corners. Would he go again though? He is going again. Does want to try and get into pole position to try and stop Anime Boy. Has another massive wobble. That's unfortunate for him. That's not gonna help his race whatsoever. But is currently P3 at the minute, so plenty of time in the race to make up for himself. So the Alpine of Oliver is currently not on a lap. McCoy flying at the minute, doing whatever he can to improve, but isn't at actually going too much right now. So we have 7, Oscar and Ago all in the pits. Oliver and McCoy out on track, currently on their way in, no doubt. So McCoy has gone in. Oliver is on his way, potentially on his way in, or he could just cross the line for himself. So, after this qualifying session, we do have Anime Boy, Jowser and Adam as our top 3 for the race. So going into this race, we are going to have eyes on the majority of the top 10, all looking for a win this race. Anime Boy looking for his 3rd win of the season. Then we will also no doubt have Morg looking for his 2nd race of the season, 2nd win of the season, and his 2nd consecutive win. Potentially for him, if he can get a brilliant start and keep everything together for himself today. Did have a very good race last week, going up 11 positions. Starting P12, finishing 1st. We also had Ago and Logan both getting their 1st points finishes of the season, and potentially could aim for more this time around. Both very good drives from them last week, and no doubt in high hopes to do well again today. So as for strategies today, we could potentially be looking at a 1-stop or a 2-stop race for some drivers. Either a hard to medium, medium to hard for a, depending on tyre wear for some of these drivers, or we could see them go straight to a soft tyre. Or as for a 2-stop, we could see a soft, medium, soft, or a double medium and a set of softs for the drivers. Potentially again, all depending on their tyre wear for the race and what the degradation is going to be like around the circuit for us today. So we wait for the drivers to choose their setups, not their setups, to make their final adjustments to their setups if they want to change their wings or their tyre pressures, and waiting for them to choose their strategies for the race and fuel loads. While that happens, I'm going to take a quick minute break. I'll be back. So we have lights out for the formation lap, and Anime takes us away. We will have Jowser, Adam, Morg, Seven, Oliver, McCoy, Fives, Oscar and Ego to round the top 10 off. And then we will have Pizza, Zuck, Valdi, Logan, Mr. G, Will, Shifty, Thief, and Tin Man for to round off the grid for this race. So we are being suggested a soft to medium or a medium to hard strategy there from by the looks of it. So as we are finishing this formation lap, we do have two drivers absolutely miles away in their own little worlds for Anime Boy and Jowser. Not too sure where he decided to go on that formation lap. So we have top two drivers in their grid positions. Adam following up closely behind, then Morg, Seven, and everyone following behind with the Sauber of Tin Man leading up at the back for this race. So we have 5 lights here, and let's go. Jowser gets off to a great start. Anime Boy is also off to a brilliant start, but leading into turn 1, Jowser drops to second, Adam up. Jowser down to third, Adam up to second. Brilliant start from both of them. Well, brilliant start from Adam. Not so good for Jowser, losing the position early on there. Anime Boy does stay ahead of Adam by 2 tenths, but Adam is very, very quick on the back of him there. Adam takes the wide line and doesn't quite make it stick. Is still on the back of him though. So Anime Boy and Adam are leading this race early stages now, up into Maggots Beckers. Adam still on the back of him. Has dropped back by a couple of attempts now. Is still leading, Anime is still leading this race after the first lap. So, as everyone comes through this first lap, we are all unscathed and all still. Oh, we do have Shifty go slightly wide. Right, why is... sorry about this, why is that so loud? Right, hopefully this will be little bit better now. Right, so Anime Boy leads Adam from Jowser, from Oliver, from 7 is our top 5 at the minute. So, as we are finishing this the second lap now, heading into the third lap, it is very close here between the top 8 drivers, all within around 2 seconds of each other now. So 7 did set the fastest lap there. Tin Man is currently on the back of Ego, fighting for this P10 position and has a long way. Will no doubt just stay on the back of him, try and put him off a little bit, but not fight too hard early on. So Oscar is also on the back of these cars, all fighting now for P9 and P10, trying to knock the Mercedes down, but also trying to do their best to keep well clean and well and truly fair and clean for these cars. So Oscar did get a 3-second penalty, unfortunately, for track limits. Mr. G is quickly on the back of him, is only a 10th behind now. Is going through Maggots Beckett's nice and tight behind him. Will have the DRS after the exit of Chapel. We'll have it wide open, moves to the left hand side. It's going to try and make the move nice and easy. No, he doesn't move to the right hand side, sorry, that was the cars ahead. So Mr. G was in the background with Oscar. It was the 2 Mercedes fighting for position then. 7 sets a 30.063 fastest lap. Mr. G on the back of Oscar. Oscar on the back of Rowdy. This is a great little battle going on right now for the final 2 points positions, but still 22 laps to go. As we head up into this midfield part of the points positions, we have McCoy slowly settling into the race. Needs to stay on the back of Oliver in the Alpine if he has any chance of staying and trying to get big points in the top 5. So, as everyone starts to spread out a little bit and the race starts to settle down after the opening couple of laps, we are currently on lap 4, heading into 5, with the top 3 still the same and having nice little gaps between them. It's all keeping within DRS and trying to do whatever they can to stay within it, so they're not letting Anime Boy take this lead too far. Thief now also gets a time penalty, unfortunately. Right, as the race has settled down, I can turn this down a little bit. Hopefully, that is not going to be too overpowering now. So, Anime Boy, Adam, 7, Oliver, McCoy, all in the top 5 right now. Oliver is backing off a little bit from the Haas of 7, but will do everything he can now to keep McCoy from overtaking onto the hangar straight in a moment. As we look further down the grid, we have Morg 4 seconds now behind 5s, but still has the pace now to get back onto the back of the Sauber driver. The two Mercedes now are also pushing their way up the grid. Giles has unfortunately had a little moment and dropped down to P10. Again, still plenty of the race for him to do something and make his way up the grid. Has got the pace in that McLaren as well to make things happen for himself. So as we look at the two Mercedes drivers and the Red Bull of Morg, having a nice little battle here, all aiming for P7. The two Mercedes do have DRS on the Red Bull driver. And Ego goes for a little move, looks to the inside, does make it stick, has a little bit of contact with wheels, but is nice and fair. Though does keep it around the outside, doesn't quite make it stick. Morg has the pace. Has the pace on the inside to make it stick and to keep Ego behind him. Up into Maggots and Beckett's we go with these three drivers. Brilliant battle from them, very fair. Very, very clean from the three of them, especially from Ego and Morg. As we head into the second DRS straight, Ego has it wide open, makes the move and makes it stick this time. Well and truly made before the corner. Has made a 4.5 tenth gap from Morg, who will now be trying to battle back early on to not lose too many positions, but also stay well on the Mercedes and well on the rear wing of him. Zach also now gets a 3-second penalty at the back of the grid there, presumably for track limits. Unfortunate now, we do have a few drivers slowly bringing them in. Little lock up there from one driver. Morg has a little moment, does lose position now to the other Mercedes of Pizza Dog and drops down to P9. Pizza Dog has the DRS as well on Morg, so does, not on Morg, on Ego. Morg also has it, so does Jowser now on his way, battling, that is close. Takes it nice on the inside and makes it stick. We do have some battles going on behind as well. Logan making moves on Mr. G. Morg has got the position back. Jowser makes it look back. And Morg has disappeared. That's unfortunate for him. So Logan up into P10 now. And Jowser in P9. Morg unfortunately having a DNF. Not too sure what happened. So we go back onto this battle for P9. We have Logan on the back of Jowser now, followed by Mr. G and Thief Oscar, all closely following these top, well, for this 9th place. Jowser having the pace now as well to slowly climb his way up, and after that little wobble he had earlier in the race. And we go into the top 3 now, with Adam slowly dropping behind. A few good battles in the midfield, which means we have unfortunately missed 7 taking the lead from Anime Boy, but he is still close behind on the gearbox of the hash driver for Anime and Adam is also closing that gap again now as well, has taken the 10th out of that last sector. Not quite enough of what he would have wanted, but still enough to be well within DRS as he goes down the hanger straight. That is the hanger straight into Stowe for these 3 drivers. And into Vale and Club onto the Hamilton straight for these top 3. Great battle, very respectful from the lot of them. 7 is on the back of him, does get very close, or almost makes contact, but does keep it out of the way. Does go up the inside, keeps it nice and clean, pushes slightly more and Anime locks up slightly on the exit there into turns 5 and 6 with DRS wide open. This is the perfect camera to watch this battle. Great little overtake from 7, makes it clear, makes it done before the corner, but Anime makes it back. Round the outside, 40 Ferrari driver does keep it clean. Very, very close there from both of them. Wheel to wheel through onto the old pit straight. Up into Cops. Adam trying to make a little dummy move, but doesn't quite make it work, unfortunately for him. 7 is on the back of Anime, with Adam slowly gaining on them both. These three having a very fair, very clean battle, and it's brilliant to watch. Great racing from all three drivers. And then we have McCoy and Oliver having their own battle at the back behind them for P4 and 5, with Oliver now currently P4. Back to these top three as we come round into Vale Club onto the Hamilton Straight for the start of the 10th lap. Anime is leading this race by 2 tenths, but anything could happen with these three drivers. Up into Abbey and Farm Curve, into Village and Loop and Aintree. 3 very good corners, 3 very free-flowing corners as well. Not too many heavy braking zones for them to contend with. They can just put their foot down as they go through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight and DRS. Into Brooklands now, and it's all nice and clean. A couple of lockups there from 2 of the drivers, didn't quite see who it was. But we are having a nice little battle. Very clean, very fair. We will go back to that battle very, very soon. So we have McCoy and Oliver looking at 4th and 5th at the minute. It looks to be a very clean battle from what we've seen in the background with these two. We'll sit on board them, see how it goes, but we should be in for a good watch with these two. As McCoy makes a move on the outside, doesn't quite make it stick, has gone wheel to wheel. Perfect driving, does go slightly over the apex, does keep it within. Anime has gone into the pit. Why has this happened here? Has Anime got a little bit of damage maybe, or is he on to the early pit stops? He goes on to what looks to be the medium tyres, but we shall see. He has made an early pit stop in this race. Very brave move for him there, but it could pay off. So McCoy leads Oliver in P3 and this final podium position still yet to box. How many drivers now will see that early stop and aim for something that no one quite expected in this top 2, well, these top 5 positions possibly? So as we look into details, we have 7 up 4 places along with McCoy, Pete up 6 places, Thief up 11 places. It's a great race for him so far, absolutely smashing where he qualified. So we have who has made pit stops so far. We've seen Logan, Fives and Anime all making stops, all quite early possible stops for themselves, but it could well pay off in the long run. So Adam has had a little spin on the exit of the final corner. More drivers are making stops. We see Thief and Mr. G go into the pits for their first stop of the race. So we go on to the Williams driver of Will, having a good race at the minute. Obviously capitalised from them early stops from some drivers. So, lap 12 of 26 here at Silverstone for this lovely dry race after a very mixed qualifying session. So, we have Will currently in P8 in the Williams and slowly gaining on the Mercedes of Ego. He does also have Rowdy right behind him, with Anime slowly catching up behind. Will goes into the pits for his first stop at the race. So Tin Man in the Sauber having a pretty decent race at the minute. Did unfortunately get knocked out in Q1, but has made plenty of positions up right now. Hasn't quite made a pit stop like the cars around him. But still has half this race to go to stay in the points and to get a good result for himself here. So we do have both the Tin Man in the Sauber and the Tin Man in the Aston Martin. Ego, Pizza, Jowser and Seven and Zuck all yet to stop. We have seen a few early pit stops. We have seen a few of pit stops that have been planned at the times I believe they would have wanted to. So Seven currently leads this race by quite the margin from Jowser at the minute. So he has got a 13-second lead at the minute. But Jowser is into the pits for his first stop and possibly only stop, going by how late he has made it compared to some of the other drivers. It does look to be a few going a lot longer than others. So Pizza and Ego are in the final 2 points podium positions, with Anime on the back of the Mercedes driver. Did make the early stop around lap 9 or 10 and put the medium tyres on for possibly 27 laps of this race. Not 27 laps, for 17 laps of this race. Ego is now P4. Anime did make that move early and made it stick pretty quickly. Tin Man, the Rowdy and the Aston Martin having a pretty good race. Up a good few positions. Did start P13, currently P5, having a solid drive right now. Is one of only 5 cars not to have stopped yet. Of 6 cars, sorry. The McLaren near the bottom also hasn't stopped yet. So he is in a very good position right now. We have Pizza Dog in the pits now for his stop. And Anime now back into the top 2, 20 seconds behind 7, is on slightly fresher tyres, has also got a slight pace advantage by a couple of attempts this lap, with 7 now leading this race by quite a bit. Ego P3, Rowdy P4, Tin Man P5, Oliver 6th, sorry. McCoy 7th, 5th, 8th, Adam 9th, Logan rounds off the top 10, has made a stop, did make that fairly early to try and get the jump on a lot of other drivers, same with a few of the others. Mr. G up into P11 currently, after having not the greatest of qualifying sessions for himself, but still good for this track, as it can be very fast paced and can be quite difficult. It's currently P11 and chasing the Ferrari driver, has a little wobble. Is does lose the position to Thief, but will have the DRS as we come out of Maggots and Beckett's. We will stay on board this battle as it could get tense and could get quite good. So, Mr. G with the DRS, not quite enough for him to get past, but does stay on the back of Thief, who has a little look up in to the corner. So now, as we head down the grid, we are seeing Peter Jowser will all with a little bit of a gap between each other. Zuck quite a little bit further behind. Oscar in 17th, Shifty unfortunately up at the back in P18, quite a distance off of Oscar, but still has got plenty of time left in this race. Zuck, still yet to box, is on the hard tyre, 16 laps old, possibly some of the oldest tyres in this race right now. So 7 has boxed for the soft tyres, is 6 seconds behind Anime Boy, but has got the tyre advantage, has got the faster tyre and the fresher tyre now. With that, so will be a very interesting race towards the end. These two could have a very close battle on the final couple of laps, potentially. 7 just needs to potentially or save the tyres for a couple of laps here and there, just so that they will make them to the end. So, Tin Man in the Sauber, currently P5, having a very good race, one of only 2 drivers not to stop yet, but is paying off for him quite well right now. So, as we look at the slight gaps, we have Oliver, the closest driver, currently to McCoy in P4, aiming for that podium position, doing everything he can to get past and build a gap with that time penalty that he currently holds. So Adam on the back of 5s, only half a second behind, has got the pace advantage, has got the speed in that Aston Martin to possibly get past pretty quickly. Not the greatest line through Luffield and Woodcock corners, but still stayed within half a second. We'll have the DRS as we come out of Maggots and Beckett's. Does go slightly over the line on the exit of Cops. Could have maybe harmed his lap time a little bit. Does lose about a 10th through there, but still on the back of the Sauber driver. Logan currently in P8 on the back as well, aiming to get some more points for himself and the team. Mr. G currently P9. Tin Man does eventually box. Is taking them medium tyres off, has done very well to take them to 18 laps old. Very, very good drive on them tyres. He no doubt will go on to the soft tyres. Jowser is now on the back of Pizza and fighting. No, he's not on the back of Pizza. Pizza is on the back of Mr. G, sorry. He is fighting him nice and hard. DRS wide open, goes to the inside. Oh, and that is very, very close there from Mr. G. Keeps it clean, keeps it well, and defends that P9 position very, very well from the Mercedes driver. Great battle all round for them two so far. So, Mr. G and Pizza Dog having a brilliant battle for P9. We have Adam now half a second off 5s. Is closing, not quite getting a move done into this corner, but maybe we'll try again as we get round into these final 8 laps of the race. Oh, it's very close there from the Aston Martin and the Ferrari driver. Absolutely brilliant driving from both cars there. Managed to keep it out of the side pod of each other very well. So, Adam 5's Logan, enjoy this battle. We head back towards McCoy and Oliver for this final podium position in these last few laps. So, Oliver currently is in P3 but does hold a time penalty and will need to get a move on if he wants to secure that final podium. So as we look on board into Maggots and Beckett's, up into Chapel and Hanger Straight, McCoy will have the DRS wide open as we come down here. Will he have the pace advantage to get the move done nice and early? Yes, he does. Oliver moves out the way nicely. McCoy gets through, and it is a well-timed and well-played battle for these two. Nice bit of respect from them both as well to let them have a proper race. So we go as we move further down the grid. We will go on to the battle between Thief and Rowdy. It is only for P12, but it is a very close battle so far. 6 tenths separate the two drivers. Thief has a little wobble through through Val and Club. Does cost him a little bit, but has kept it below a second, so we will have the DRS after we go through Farm Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. He will get the DRS and or hopefully get the DRS if he was within it as we went into turn 2. And he does, but not quite enough to make any moves. Has dropped down back now to 1.3 seconds, which is very unfortunate for the Hash driver of Thief. Grid is very split up right now. A fair few gaps between most of this bottom half of the field. So Zuck is 20 seconds behind. Shifty is 1.5 seconds behind the car ahead of him. Tin Man 6 seconds behind. Quite a while to go. Could potentially get the pace. Is on the soft tyre, so has got the advantage over a lot of the drivers ahead of him and around him. And still 7 laps to go for him to make at least one position up and finish P15 maybe for the Sauber. So as we head up the field, we also have Thief now back in DRS range of the Aston Martin of Rowdy. He will do anything he can now to make the move stick and to stay as close to the Aston Martin driver as possible. So we go now into the top 10. Ago is on the back of Jowser looking for this final points position for himself. Jowser hasn't had the best of races, started nice and high up in P2. He did start second and had a wobble early on in this race and has found it hard to recover. Is currently P10 though, so has made some ground, but not quite as he would have wanted. Still 5 laps to go in this race. Plenty of time for Jowser and Ago to battle this out. So Mr. G does drop down to P9 as a little battle with 5s. Not quite what he would have wanted to do is drop down. They do both hold time penalties on this race. So anything and everything is to play for these two. Jowser and Ago are having a great battle. Let's go on board that right now. So as we come up to the Wellington Straight in a moment. Ego will be ahead and battling the McLaren of Jalda, who is 8 tenths behind, has the DRS open, but not quite enough speed, or has a bit of a lock-up. That's quite a big one. That's going to damage that front left tyre. As tyre wear is a lot more meaningful in this year's game, it is going to be costly for him. Could well start to play up towards the final couple of laps, but does currently still have the pace to try and get a move on Ego on the next DRS in a moment. So we have plenty of cars here fighting for all of these final positions. We do have a fair bit of movement in this battle for 6th. We have Fives and Mr. G slowly gaining on Logan and Pizza for the battle for 6th and for this tense battle alone with these two. So Mr. G 2 tenths behind, Fives 2 seconds behind, unfortunately is slowly dropping through some of these corners, but does have the speed advantage on the straight, whereas Mr. G does have an extra bit of power now with the DRS wide open. Doesn't quite have enough to get past though. So we'd see Pizza now on second behind Adam, doing everything he can now to maximise his race and Mercedes points. With Pizza starting in 11th, he has had a very good drive so far, up 5 places into P6. A nice amount of points currently going back for him, which could be very crucial in the next few rounds for this championship fight, and will bring a big boost for both the Mercedes. So Adam now is 10 seconds behind Oliver. Not the best of races that he would have wanted after starting 3rd. Hasn't had the easiest of rides around, but also it's going to be a tough end to this race. We have got a few more laps. We do also have Oliver now 6 tenths behind McCoy, fighting for this final podium spot. They do both have time penalties now, so it is all to play for now as well between these two. And 7 has gained all of that time in these last few laps. Is now 1.2 seconds off Anime Boy for the win in this race. Plenty of time to go. They still have 1.5 to 2 laps left. We are about to go on to lap 25 of 26. 7 goes slightly wide out of Vale and Club Corner. Unfortunately for him, does put him just outside the DRS marker for the 1 second point, but is still gaining, is only just over that 1 second mark. Has got much more pace in them tyres than the Ferrari ahead of him. So we go on board. Anime Boy has been mentoring, well, not mentoring, but has been coaching these tyres this whole race, has been on them for the past, I believe it is 15 laps he's been on them tyres. So 14 laps for them tyres, 9 laps for 7 who is on the soft tyres, so a little bit of a deficit. Only 5 laps, but still enough to make the difference. So 7 is now 8 tenths behind. Will have DRS on this straight. And now, as we head into this final lap of the race, we will have 18 corners and 5.8 kilometers to go as we go on to lap 26 of 26. We've hit the final lap. It will be 7 versus Anime for the win. Very tight battle now for this final lap as we head now into the Wellington Straight. 7 has the DRS wide open. It is now all to play for both these drivers. So 7 and Anime absolutely flying now through Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcock corners up into the old pit straight in a moment. Through Woodcock now on the old pit straight up into Copse. It will be all to play for. Half a lap to go. Around 9 to 10 corners left. As we go through Maggots and Beckett's into Chapel, DRS wide open now for 7. Has got his overtake button on, doing whatever he can as we go into the final 3 corners. As we go through Stowe into Vale, we have a lock up from Anime, but does enough now to keep it, and he is the winner here for the 3rd time this season. Anime takes the win here at the Silverstone Grand Prix, followed by 7 in 2nd. Oliver is about to come home in 3rd, followed by McCoy in 4th. Adam makes a late move on pizza for P5. As we come through these final few corners, it is going to be very, very tight here. A lot of cars, very, very wobbly. Oh my days, so many drivers come through all at the same time. And we have Adam in 5th, Pizza in 6th, Ego in 7th, Chowder in 8th, Logan in 9th, Fives in 10th, Mr. G 11th, Rowdy 12th, Thief 13th, Will as we come is 14th, Oscar 15th. As we come across now with Tin Man in the Sauber, he is 16th. Shifty in 16th now, 17th for Tin Man. And Zuck in the McLaren will come home in 18th. A very unfortunate drive for him, couldn't quite get going from the outset, but he does come home and finish the race. Very good drive from everyone, brilliant battles throughout the whole field for every driver going, and great win for Anime. Had some pressure at the end of that race from 7, but keeps it together and keeps ahead. So our top 3 here is Anime 7 and the Alpine of, I believe it is Oliver who takes 3rd place. And yes, so we have Anime 7, Oliver McCoy, Adam Pizza, Ego Jowser, Logan and Fives to take home the top 10. Again, brilliant race from everyone. Thank you for all of you for watching, and until next time, I have been Bucko. Goodbye.